you know, as journalists,
yes,
when we report politicians, there's some things that we report, and of course, it's not everything that, happens that they get to read about on the pages of newspapers. Sometimes, I mean, when they come before the screen and say certain things, for those who are maybe, if they have brickbats among themselves, behind the scenes, some of them shake hands.
Of course.
They seem to settle. But then, here now, he said it, look, give credit to him because he did a lot. Yeah. What about us, the followers, those who are watching? Do we as much appreciate sometimes what they say, what they want us to see, to the extent that we also say, well, okay, because he said, no matter your views, do this, because it took us to at least play the great role to where we are. How much do we need to do as followers, electorate, to see that we also imbibe this? Because above all, he was speaking about unity of purpose.
It's one of the narratives in the Nigerian political landscape, which is the leaders themselves. They have a different disposition, a different mindset to issues. But the followers, when the polity, often when it gets heated up, you always say that maybe it's as a result of the action of the followers, not the leaders themselves. You will be so surprised that even during the election, you saw what happened on air in regard to Urubebe. He was talking, he was actually almost beating the drum walls. But Jonathan was in Aso Rock, placing a telephone call to Buhari and congratulating him. Which is to say that we may have our own mindset doing things, but the leaders maybe have their eyes on the ball. And what they think about a good leader is, of course, that unity of purpose, that what we are all doing is to keep Nigeria together and make Nigeria great. And if that is the purpose, there won't be any need to fall apart, even if our followers are going across purposes. We should try as much as possible to come together and then achieve the common purpose.
But what then do we make of this next paragraph? You know, after he thanks the former president for not digging in, he says, as I said in my inaugural speech, I bear no ill will against anyone in past events. Nobody should fear anything from me. We are not after anyone. People should only fear the consequences of their actions. What do you make of that?
In fact, it was the first point I made. Yes, it was the
following.
Yes, that it underscores the character, the personality of the president. Now, where credit should be given, credit should be given. But that should not stop the business of state. That should not stop the business of governance. Yes, you were good. You did this, you did this, you did this. But if there are questions to be answered, please do answer those questions. If he has that character and that firmness, that strength to push ahead with that kind of viewpoint, I think he should be applauded. He should be given the credit, which is to say that maybe in all most of the talks about witch hunt, I'm saying that there will be a difference between what he's saying and maybe what he goes ahead to do. He may be saying this. If he does something different, then of course, people will still cry out that he is witch hunting.
Let me come in here talking about doing something quite differently. This is for you, Jide, because, you know, he also talked about the problems that we all have. He said, well, every country inherits problems, and Nigeria has, well, a full plate of problems. But this is not time for us to keep talking about such problems. Rather, we should be talking about solutions. And he did say he had consultations with his vice president, with the vice president and other party leaders to move in quickly, and that he's already done. Have you seen it since we've done the first quarter since his inauguration? Is there any indication that truly what he has said is on that path of fixing the problem?
There are no clear indications of that yet, and we hope that we start seeing the results, and I'll put that in clear perspective. One of the things the president had said he would do is, and he had also tweeted about it, if you go through his tweet handle at Buhari, on March 16, he had tweeted 3 million jobs per annum. In simple terms, that is an equivalent of 422 new jobs a day in each state across the country. Now, the challenge is our current running rates. If you look at the last report from the National Bureau of Statistics, on an average, we are only creating 42 jobs per day in each state. The president has said he would by a multiple of 5, increase that. The challenge is no Nigerian president, living or dead, has achieved it. That doesn't mean he wouldn't achieve it. It just simply means if he does create 3 million jobs per annum, he does deserve a place in the history books. Because right now, in the last 90 days, from the National Bureau of Statistics, number of jobs they've created was only 141,368. Going by that running rate, for the president to achieve his plans of 3 million jobs per annum, he needs to increase the running rate by a multiple of 5. And historically, from 1960, the challenge is no president has achieved it. He may achieve it, but if he does achieve it, for him to achieve it, it's going to take a lot of work.
If you want to talk about that, perhaps let's bring in the next paragraph he delved into. He said, well, he's been able to tour other African countries to see how he can marshal a coalition of armed forces to fight the insurgency in the country. Is that also what he meant by moving in very quickly? Let me come to you, Mr. Ogbodo.
Boko Haram, these are different issues. If he's going to contain Boko Haram, he has always said that you cannot really expect progress in the absence of peace. And that is what is driving the desire to end Boko Haram in December, according to the deadline. If he does that, fine. But as he was saying, the fundamental issue of job creation, that you don't just create jobs from nowhere. It underscores everything in the economy. The economy as we have it today now, is it driving at the pace that it can actually generate this number of jobs we're talking about? Job is not created by the public sector. In a well-organized economy, the private sector, their business is to create jobs. But with what we have with the economy today now, going by the pace, everything taken together, is it realistic to begin to talk of 3 million jobs in how many years, or how many millions did you say was going to be?
Per
annum.
That's for what, 22 per day?
Yeah, that's
in each state?
That's approximately 422 new jobs per day
in each state.
So such high declarations, aspirations, to me, everything they have said, we have gone beyond the level of campaign politics. We are now in governance, and people should be realistic. Apart from the job creation, there are so many other things they said they were going to achieve. But you have to achieve this with the resources and the level, the strength of the economy. And the strength of the economy will be driven by the public sector regulation, now making it possible for the private sector to drive well. As we speak today, people are complaining that the economy is almost at a standstill, is grinding too slowly. We don't know when it will inflate to a point where the jobs will start tumbling.
He also says order is more important than speed.
Oh yes.
How did that come across to you?
Okay, yes. You see, in my one article I did, I say you cannot kill the economy because you want to kill corruption, because you want to create order. You can't say a patient is ill and then you want to cure that patient. Then the patient has to be killed first because your therapy, the set of therapies you are deploying is more of killing the patient than making the patient to live. Specifically, we're talking of the policies that have come to bear in this short run now. And we're talking of the monetary policy by the CBN. Manufacturer associations are complaining, chambers of commerce, every player, major player in the economy is complaining, except analysts like us, when we say, yes, the TSA is good, everything is good, we want corruption to go.